So now we are going to continue to talk about brain and the other senses that are important part of the brain. So let me share my screen so we can continue talking about vision, one more sense that is controlled by brain. So this will be the slide that you will see as a first slide when you start talking about vision. And of course, it's a slide that shows eyes. Nice picture of eyes. So you might tell students, hey, do you know that thanks to your brain and thanks to your sense of vision that is controlled by your brain, you are actually able to see all these nice world parts around you, even this nice snow and so on. So just point out and show how excited you are about the possibility that you can see so nice world, because it's important to emphasize how important for you is to have a healthy brain, because that protects your vision. So great day to talk about vision. Now, start with explaining anatomy of eye, or how the eye looks from the outside, and why eye or eyes. Well, because eyes are important for your sense of vision. And you can tell them, did you know that your eyes actually have around 7 grams? Many of them don't know that. And all of those things you have in speaker's notes. So let's see how your eyes, which are the main players for sense of vision, look like. So you can point out. So you have an eyelid. And then inside of your eye, this nice little black part is called pupil. Then sclera, then iris. So all of these things, parts of your eye, you can actually see when you look yourself in the mirror. Now, what's going on inside of your eye? So this is how your eye looks from the inside. This is outside and this is inside. So what you see with your eye or eyes is light. So light is a signal that actually triggers your vision. So that signal, a light signal, enters your eye here at the lens. So light hits the lens. Then at the lens, light rays are going to interact, overlap, and they will reach one part of eye called a retina. Retina is probably the most important part of your eye, because retina contains some very specific special cells called the rods and cones. And the rods and cones are called photoreceptors. And you will see in a few moments why those two cells matter. Then at the end, where optic nerve exits the eye, there is a place called blind spot. Blind spot does not have any photoreceptors, any rods, any cones. And that's the place where optic nerve is getting out of the eye and entering to the brain, because optic nerve is the guy that connects eye and the brain. Now, let's get back to the rods and cones. Photoreceptor, special cells in the eye. So rods are cells that are in charge for dark vision, while cones are those tiny little guys that control and enable color vision. So thanks to the cones, we are able to see all pretty colors around us. Now, here is how visual pathway looks like. Remember, a light is a signal that hits the lens in your eye. That signal reaches the retina, interacts with photoreceptors, rods and cones, then through optic nerve exits the eye at the blind spot and enters the brain. And remember, there are four main parts of the brain, and the part that controls vision is called occipital lobe. Now, I would like you to open your booklets and to answer the following questions. And they will have those answers, they will have those booklets in front of them. And now it's important for you to tell them in summary that so they are able to answer questions. So we see a signal called light. So that's what we see with the eye. Light rays are received at a retina, and all of those parts you need to point out so they will be able to answer. There are two types of cells, photoreceptors in the eye, called rods for dark vision and cones for color vision. And information from retina exits blind spot, and the place in brain where signals are received is called occipital lobe. And next one is activity time. And this is usually the activity that they like the most, at least in my experience, because you will see it's called color after image. So you need to explain them what to do, and then you need to explain them why they saw some things in certain way. So here is the activity. So you will tell them to look in this picture 1 full minute without looking around. So just stare in this picture. And then after this is done, after the minute is passed, you will change the slide. And what will happen, they will see image in different color, image of this apple, excuse me, in different color. And so you, you have to explain them why is this happening. So this is actually happening because some colors are called opposite colors. For example, green and red are opposite, blue and yellow are opposite, as well as white and black. So you will never see reddish green or whitish black or bluish yellow. So what's happening is that difference in colors that you see is happening because of your brain and the way how your brain perceives. So once when you stare in one color, your cones in the eye, which are in charge for color vision, get tired, and then they automatically switch to the opposite color. So you were seeing blue, but then in other moments you will see yellow because your cones got tired. You can call that receptor adaptation as well. But it's all about your brain. And then you have a few more pictures. Canadian flag. So after you stare in one picture, this green color will become red, and so on and so on. And they love this. So they will enjoy. Some of them might not see. So I never saw. Then reversible figure illusion. So you will ask them, so what do you see here? So some of them will see vase, the other one will see face. So all depends from the way how your brain perceives signals from the outside. So it will really depend from light signals, from what you see, and from perception in your brain. So thanks to your brain, you are able to either see a vase or faces. And you receive that signal through your eyes, through sense of vision. Now let's talk about hearing. So hearing is the next sense. So what you will say here is, let's do one activity. So you will ask them to close one ear with a hand, and then you will play a video from YouTube, and link is provided. Then you will ask them to close both ears, and then you will play video again. So you will then ask them which time you heard better sound, like when you closed one ear or both ears. So then they will say, when I closed only one ear. Then you will tell them, so hearing is important, right? So it's important to protect our sense of hearing, and let's think about why. So many of them will say, oh, I want to hear music, I want to listen cartoons, or I want to listen to my mom, or something like that. So this is hearing for enjoy. But what about other reasons for importance of hearing? So you can give them example. Imagine you lost your sense of hearing and you are in a building and there is a fire and there is a fire alarm, but you can't hear because unfortunately you lost your sense of hearing and you can't escape. So it's important to protect our sense of hearing because that helps us to identify danger. we become aware of our surroundings. And now you explain them how ear looks from the outside, the same how you explained for the eye. So you will say, our ear contains outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear. And important thing to emphasize here is that the step to the brain through the ear. So you have sound waves, and you will have this nice animation that shows like how sound travels. Then the sound, which is a signal from the outside, enters through outer ear and goes to the middle ear. And there is a part called cochlea. And over there are some specialized cells that are like a hairy cells, and they're picking up sound and carry it all over to the inner ear and then all over to the brain. And the part of brain that controls hearing is called temporal lobe. And now let's answer some questions about hearing. So what we hear are sounds or sound waves. The sound is received in part of the ear called cochlea, and there are cells in this part that are carrying information to the brain, and finally information is received in temporal lobe of the brain. And next one is sense of touch. And you can ask them again. So think about something very nice that you want to touch. Do you want to touch your teddy bear or your cat or your puppy? So it's so nice that you can feel all that softness of their hairs, or hug your mother, and all these beautiful emotions that you feel because you're able to touch and you have sense of touch. But sense of touch is not only important for the joy, it's also important to identify some danger. So there are different types of touch. One of them are pain and temperature. So would it be good if we lose a sense of pain? And they might say yes, but then you tell them, imagine this. Imagine you lost your sense of touch and you can't feel pain or temperature, and you accidentally touch a hot plate. So since you don't feel pain or temperature, you will burn your skin. And there are other types of touch, such as pressure or vibration. But having a sense of touch is not important only for the joy of hug, of the softness of our pets or toys. It's also important for the sense of danger and for becoming aware of the world around us. And what's important to know is that the sense of touch starts with receptors in our skin that is all around us. And that information is received in parietal lobe of our brain. Now, let's answer some questions. Our touch receptors are in the skin, and the information of the touch is received in parietal lobe. And this is activity called 2-point discrimination. So you will play them a video, so they won't do it on the spot, but you can encourage them to do this later with a family member. And all point of this activity, which you will see when you play video, is a different distribution of receptors. So here is the thing. For example, they will have 2 cotton swabs, in this video, and they will touch the palm with 1 and with 2 cotton swabs. And then they will be asked, person in the video will be asked, so do you feel like it's 1 swab or 2 swabs? So, and also the same thing with touching would be repeated on the arm. So if there are more receptors in one part of the body, the feeling will be like there is only 1 swab. If receptors are far away, then it will be feeling like it's 2 swabs. Also, you can ask them on the spot to do that pinching. So they can pinch their pinky finger and then pinch the elbow. And you ask them, what is more painful? Well, since in the elbow there are literally no pain receptors, they won't feel pain in the elbow, but in the pinky finger, they will feel pain. And you explain them that it is because of different receptor distribution in your skin. So receptor distribution is not even all around your body. So there are more receptors in your pinky finger. And now let's talk about concussion. And you can ask them, did any of you had concussion? And some of them might have. I've been seeing people having concussion. They're children. They hit their head all the time. So they will enjoy maybe sharing their story. So you will tell. So what is concussion? So that's the moment when you injure your brain. So concussion is a type of brain injury. So any blow to head or face or the neck or body that cause sudden jarring of the brain may cause concussion. So when your brain moves inside the skull for any reason, that's concussion. Now let's do some guessing game. So think about if you had concussion or you knew someone who has had concussion, or just tell your opinion, what would be possible symptoms of hitting your head or moving your brain inside of your skull, which is concussion? So would you have a fever? And then some of them will say no, some of them said, would you feel headache? And then you say, okay, so right answers, right symptoms of concussion here are headache and dizziness, but not fever or sore throat. Let's see the next symptoms. If you have concussion, would you feel like you are full of energy? Not exactly. So but you would definitely feel a pressure in the head. You would be sensitive to light noise. You might throw up. What about difficulty of remembering? Imagine if your brain moves, and we know that our brain controls our ability to think, would we have difficulty remembering if we move a brain? Yeah, definitely. But would we have like obsessive thoughts? That has nothing to do with concussion, right? If we have concussion, would we have hard time to focus? Again, our brain controls how we focus, and we move the brain in the skull, so that hard to concentrate is a symptom of concussion. But what is not symptom is paranoia. Like if you're scared of everything, that has nothing to do with your concussion. If you feel sudden happiness, is that because you hit your head and you have concussion? Not exactly. But if you are grumpy or moody all of a sudden, that is sign of concussion. But if you feel confident, that's not because you have concussion. If you feel excited, is that because you had concussion? No. But if you are nervous, that might be sign of concussion. And now you have all symptoms of concussions grouped together as a physical, cognitive, and emotional. So if you have concussion, you would have some physical symptoms such as loss of consciousness, headache, vomiting, dizziness. You would feel pressure, or you would be low energy, at low energy level. You would feel some thinking issues, cognitive group. You would feel confusion. You would have difficulty remembering or concentrating, or you would feel like you are in the fog. And that's all because your brain is moved, and your brain is controlling all these activities. You can also have emotional symptoms, like you would be sad, you would feel grumpy, nervous. Those are all symptoms of concussion from emotional, cognitive, and physical side. And now, in case you hit your head or you feel like you have concussion, what you need to do is to follow this STAR activity sign. What does it mean? Stop playing, tell adult, get assessed, and rest. So STAR. Now, it's really important to protect our brain, since we saw that thanks to our brain, we are able to see the world around us, to smell world around us, to touch, to taste. So basically, our brain controls everything in our lives. That is why it's extremely important to protect our brain. And here are some hints how you can do that. So if you want to protect your brain, always wear helmet when you are riding a bike. When you are crossing the street, look from both sides multiple times because you want to protect your brain and your ability to feel the world around you. It's really important to be one rule when you are wearing a helmet. So follow a right instruction and put the helmet in the right way, because only if it's in the right way, it will protect you. Question for you. Should you wear a helmet over a ponytail? No. Wear helmet in the right way. And now this is a cool activity, which unfortunately we can't show them. So you can explain them that this is the the real image of the brain in the skull. So jelly brain, that's how brain looks inside of your skull. And they can actually make a jelly brain at home if they like. I mean, I used to make it at home and it's really interesting and kids love it, but when they can feel it and touch it. So that then they basically dig into the jelly brain and it looks really amazing. But what's important to say is that's how actually brain looks inside of your skull. So it's moving like a jello. And that's what they will memorize. Now, I hope it was pretty clear what you need to do. You have speaker's notes that will be great support for you. I'm encouraging you to learn those notes, like read it and be aware of what you need to say. It's always good to be confident because children will like it and they will understand better if you look excited and if you look confident. And later on, you will get a Google form with a quiz questions, which will help us to assess whether you watch this video and whether you learn something from this video, because we really want our volunteers to know the material because they are transferring that material to children, and it's really important for children to learn in the right way. So to add up on that, if you get a question from children that you don't know how to answer or you're not sure, it's really extremely important for you to say that, you know what, this is a great question. However, I'm not able to answer immediately, but I will get back to you. And we will make sure that they get an answer. But you never say anything just to say it because you don't want to share incorrect information. Those children are like a sponge. So they basically absorb everything what you tell them, and they trust you since you're an adult. So you cannot tell them anything wrong. Better say you don't know, and then we will make sure that we give them right info. Again, at the end, I will remind you that there is a waiver form that you need to sign and to scan and email back to us, because that's the only way how you can participate in this volunteering activity. And also, if you would like to set up a QA session, if you would like the more detailed explanations about some training video things or any potential questions that you have, you can email to the Brainwaves official email, and they will include us training volunteers who will set up a meeting depending on our times, and we'll make sure that you all get help as much as you want. So just email it and we will schedule specific one-to-one meeting or group meeting depending on your and our availability. And I hope you all enjoyed. And again, maybe we will see each other in Q&A session. If not, enjoying this amazing activity with school children. Believe me, I think that whoever did this once comes back again, because it's really rewarding and it's a great to know that you were able to teach those young people something new, and that's what basically makes your day. At least it makes my day, and I'm enjoying every time. Thank you for watching again, and have a nice day or evening.